What's up YouTube? Nate the Old School Otaku here with part 3 of my top 25 anime of all time. Stay tuned! And welcome back. So, as you can see, I've got a bunch of cool new series in front of me this time around to bring to you and show you what I have in store for my part 3 of my top 25 anime of all time. And let's go ahead with the stipulations here. Now granted, if you haven't seen part 1 or part 2, despite the fact that this isn't in any particular order, I recommend you go check those out. So click up here if you want to go see part 1, and click up here if you want to go see part 2. Don't worry, I'll wait a few seconds for you guys to check that out before I get started. Alright, so let's continue on with the stipulations here for those of you who wanted to hang around and see this first before watching those others too. And basically what's going on here is my top 25 anime of all time is basically only related to shows that I personally own a physical copy of and have seen. And for the most part, that's pretty much giving you shows that are in the old school realm of anime. Stuff from the 80s, the 70s, and the 90s for the most part. But either way though, I've got a bunch of awesome cool stuff in front of me that I want to talk to you about today. So, without further ado, let's get started. Sailor Moon! It's hard to think of a list of my favorite anime without including Sailor Moon. Like most fans who got into anime in the 90s, Sailor Moon was my gateway show. Sure, I may have watched plenty of good anime growing up in the 80s and 90s while not realizing what it was, but Sailor Moon was the first show where I understood what anime was, liked it, and wanted more. Sailor Moon is a 200-episode anime that started in 1992 and continued to 1997 through 5 seasons. It was based on the manga Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon by Naoko Takeuchi, which started in 1991 and has helped fuel multiple live-action musicals, a live-action TV drama, 3 movies, a number of specials, and even a recent anime remake titled Sailor Moon Crystal. Merchandising abounds as well, with tons of figures, toys, clothes, lingerie, shoes, jewelry, video games, art books, and so much more. The story of Sailor Moon centers around a teenage girl, Usagi Tsukino, who finds out she is the sailor soldier Sailor Moon, and is charged with protecting the solar system from evil with her fellow soldiers, all while trying to find a princess, a special gem, and still hold down the whole middle school student thing. Sailor Moon has had a storied past when it comes to localization in the States. Originally, the show was licensed by DiC and received a heavily censored translation, cutting parts of the episodes and even removing whole episodes in order to craft a new story that was more kid-friendly. I was part of the Save Our Sailors online campaign that sought to bring the last 17 episodes of the 2nd season, as well as the movies and even the rest of the show back to the States. The campaign succeeded, but the censorship remained. DiC released a small set of their dubbed episodes on VHS. Later, after Cloverway got involved with the show and brought over the 3rd and 4th seasons and the movies, there was less censorship, but still the English dub resembled very little of the original show's themes and explained away the whole lesbian undertones as best as it could. Pioneer released Sailor Moon S and Super S in an uncut DVD set, as well as the censored dub. As far as Sailor Moon and Sailor Moon R is concerned, they received an uncut subtitled release on DVD by ADV. However, the ADV version did not have episode 67, famous for being the dinosaur episode, because ADV got their masters from DiC, who didn't even have that episode that they had purchased. Sailor Stars has not seen a release in the States yet. However, there is hope with the current Viz Media Blu-rays that we will see a US release of Stars. Currently, you can get uncut versions of Sailor Moon and the first part of Sailor Moon R on Blu-ray, with more parts to come in the future. I've got my pre-orders locked. How about you? Green Legend Ron! When I look back at the shows I first saw and enjoyed through Sci-Fi Channel's Anime Weeks, Green Legend Ron is one that sticks out most in my mind due to its bittersweet ending. Though I believe most of the feeling is actually due to the ending song and not necessarily the storyline or the way the show actually ends. This 140-minute, 3-episode OVA released in 1992 hasn't gotten much love, but I feel is still one of the greats. Green Legend Ron is set in a post-apocalyptic future where the Earth has been devastated by an alien attack, leaving the majority of the world a barren, red wasteland, akin to the surface of Mars. What civilization exists crowds around the Roccow, a set of monolithic statues which caused the Earth's fate and are now the only sources of food, water, and clean air. The story follows Ron, who longs to join the resistance faction set on destroying the Roccow, and by happenstance he finds a girl, Ira, amidst a battle between the resistance and the Roccow. The story has many environmental undertones, harking to the arrogance of mankind and its mistreatment of its Mother Earth. Ron saw an uncut subtitled release in the States on VHS and Laserdisc by Pioneer Entertainment. It later was released on DVD by Pioneer Animation, which later became Genion, as its first DVD release, which is known to have many ease-of-use features missing from the disc. You can pick up a copy for an extremely good price online, despite the show being out of print. I personally would love to see a Blu-ray remaster at some point. Here is Greenwood! Here is Greenwood is a 6-episode OVA from 1991 that takes place in the dormitory of a fictional high school that, as a converted mental hospital, seems to take in the oddest characters in the school. This slice-of-life story follows 4 members of the Greenwood dormitory and their antics across their school years. It is based from the manga by the same name and even ties directly to the manga storylines at times. It also spawned a live-action drama series that started in 2008. The OVA got its original US release on VHS and Laserdisc in 1996 by Central Park Media under their Software Sculptures label. It has since gotten a DVD release by Media Blasters under their Anime Works label in 2004, which features a brand new dub. Greenwood is one of the few shows that I would recommend both watching the anime and reading the manga at the same time. The manga itself references itself quite often, and the anime will directly reference chapters from the manga as well at times. It is a great slice-of-life story, with a plethora of quirky characters and wacky situations. You can currently pick up a copy of the DVD for half of what I paid for it new, so what's to lose? Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind! Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind is a 1984 animated film written and directed by legendary animator Hayao Miyazaki. Based on the manga by the same name, it is cited as the movie that started Studio Ghibli, despite having been made before Ghibli formed. The story follows Nausicaa, a princess of the Valley of the Wind, who lives in a post-apocalyptic world that is overrun by a toxic forest filled with giant insects. Following many themes common amongst Miyazaki's works, Nausicaa heavily supports a strong female lead, and through her eyes the viewer is shown the dangers of war, arrogance, and blatant disregard for the environment. Nausicaa had an interesting run-in with English translations beginning in 1985, with a cut version titled Warriors of the Wind, which removed over 21 minutes of the movie and greatly altered the story, trying to make it more kid-friendly. It wasn't until Buena Vista got a hold of the movie 20 years later in 2005 that it saw a proper uncut dubbing in the form of a DVD release, which did include a subtitled Japanese audio track. In 2011, Nausicaa saw a US remastered Blu-ray release sourced from a 6K film scan, which really brings out the beauty of this film on modern TVs. Copies of both the Blu-ray and DVD versions are readily available online and sometimes even in big box stores, and is well worth a spot on any anime fan's shelf. Ah, My Goddess, the movie! When thinking about the different anime that I cut my teeth on in the early days of my collecting career, Ah My Goddess was one of the biggest. I really enjoyed the manga as well as the OVA series, but what really blew my mind was the movie. Ah My Goddess, the movie, came out in Japanese theaters in 2000 and was released by Pioneer originally on DVD in 2001. I picked up the DVD on release day, and it has remained my favorite movie ever since. Set in the later years of the manga storyline, the movie, featuring the most artfully drawn cell animation I have ever seen, deals with a new threat to the world that Keiichi and Belldandy have to defeat through the power of their love. As I said, this movie is beautiful. The color palette is closer to what we consider standard in the world of digital animation today, but was all done via traditional cell animation. Production cells from this movie sell for thousands of dollars just on the pure artwork quality alone. The soundtrack is also artfully done and really helps to set the mood for the whole story. If you want to see what can be done via traditional cell animation if proper time and money are used, the Ah My Goddess movie is a prime example of such quality. The movie has only seen a DVD release here in the States and is readily available from online retailers. However, due to popularity and being out of print, the price can be a bit on the high side. However, at just about any price, I believe it is well worth it. And that's all I have time for today, folks. I want to thank each and every single one of you for sticking with me here to the very end. Had a bunch of cool stuff to talk about today, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every piece here. If you haven't seen it before, I recommend you go out and check out each and every single one of these. It's a lot of really good stuff here. Now, of course, this is all just my opinion, and you know what? My opinion matters, but so does yours. So I want to see in the comments below what you guys think. You can hit me up in the comments here on YouTube down below, or if you want, you can hit me up on Twitter, on Facebook, on Tumblr, all of the different things, and all of that stuff's going to be down in the description below if you guys want to check it out. I want to know what you guys think about what I have up here, as well as, you know, what you guys think should have been on this list, because I am interested to know what all of my fans think. So let me know, and who knows, perhaps something you bring up will be in a future Top 25 episode. Of course, we've got more stuff to talk about next week, and I can't wait to get to that. But for now, folks, again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I've got to thank all of the people who've helped me out so far and given me some of these inspirations and helped me out with all of this stuff. And of course, you know, if you guys want to see more of my content, you can check out one of the links I've got up here. You can hit up one of these videos. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've got part 1 of this series up here and part 2 of this series up here as well. If you haven't seen it before, check out one of those 2 links in order to continue on with the whole entire top 25 list. And of course, if you like the content that I have and want to see even more, or want to know exactly what happens when I come out with a new episode each and every week, hit that subscribe button above. It'll put you front row and center, and every time I release something, it'll show up in your YouTube feed, which is always cool. And of course, if you're curious about the music, you can hit the link up here in order to check out the guy who did the composing of the music that's playing right now. And of course, you can always help me out and take a look and maybe even assist me by becoming a patron of mine on Patreon. That would be really cool and awesome if you'd help me out there, because any money coming in that way is going to go direct into the production value of these episodes, and I want to make this bigger and better for everybody. But in the meantime, though, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and you know what? I'm going to see y'all again next time. This is Nate, the old school otaku, signing off. And there we go. All finished. All finished. It is done. It is finished and done. And yes, I did it. I said the things. Why, thank you. What do I have here in front of me? I think it's another Laserdisc, and what Laserdisc could this be? I don't know. What could it be? Armitage the Third?